Hello everybody, welcome to CIS101. I am Bob Hendry and today is October 9th, 2018, so welcome to class. This is what I have in store for us today. Today is kind of a bonus class or perhaps a cursed class depending on how you look at it. Now technically there's no school today, so I wanted to put together a video anyway. And I did remember telling you this or mentioning this to you in the first couple weeks of class that that's one of the things that I like about doing virtual classes. It has its pluses and minuses. And one of the pluses is it allows us to cover material even if we don't have classroom time. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight. So this is what I have in store for us tonight. We've been doing some SQL and we've been in the database portion. The last portion of the database portion in our class in CIS101. Remember, there's 4 different sections, and the first section is databases. So we're going to conclude with that with this class, hopefully. I think I might have maybe a little bit more. I just want to make sure that you have all the tools that you need to get your assignments done. So this is what we're going to do today. We're going to end with some SQL statements. Now, we've been doing some SQL selects, and we're going to continue with that. But what we're going to do is we're going to continue with SQL, what are called aggregate functions, aggregate functions in SQL. Now, what aggregate functions allow us to do is they allow us to get totals. Like, for example, if you wanted to get the greatest of a column value or the smallest number of a column value or the distinct number of a column value. Like, for example, if you wanted to get, if you had 25 customers that were from Illinois, but you just wanted to see how many customers you had from Illinois and only wanted to show Illinois once, you can use an aggregate function. So that's what we're going to do today. Now, don't panic. Don't write all that down really quickly. It'll be okay. We're going to go over these examples kind of one at a time and go over them slowly. Now, this lecture should take approximately an hour or so, but just like any other of the virtual classes that we do, I expect you guys to kind of pause the video and start the video, pause the video and start the video. So in real time, it's probably going to take you about 2.5 hours or so to do this. And I promise, since it's not really an official class tonight, I'm going to keep it kind of a little bit breezy. I'm not going to really throw a lot of information at you. I'm going to kind of go over just a few things and kind of leave it nice and easy just so you could kind of learn this stuff. So that's what we have in store today. Now, as a bonus for watching this video, since there's technically not class tonight, I'm going to go over very closely the lab exercise 2 that I emailed you today. So I'm not going to go over it and give you the answers to lab 2, but I am going to follow it very closely. Now, not necessarily question by question, but I'm going to follow it very, very closely. So it's worth watching this video, because if you watch this video, that lab exercise I gave you will be exponentially easier to do than if you didn't listen to the video at all. So hopefully you'll get some bonus out of that. So anyway, by the end of today, you're going to know some SQL aggregate functions. Are you going to know all of them? No, of course not, but at least you'll get to know some of them. Remember, one of the goals I had for you guys when we first started this class is when you take something out of this class, I want you to take SQL out of this class. If you're going to be going into IT, you're going to be using SQL, with the exception of some of you that might just be doing networking and then not so much, but database development, check SQL. Software development, yes. Software engineering, yes. Data mining, big data, you name it. They're going to use SQL or they're going to use offshoots of SQL. It is everywhere. So hopefully you'll learn something by the end of tonight. All right, folks, thank you for coming to class. And if you're ready to get started, let's go. So anyway, let's get started. This is what we're going to do. We're going to start working with some SQL aggregate functions. Now, to do that, we're going to need some test data. And I have some test data loaded on my system. And you're going to have to get a hold of the script from me. Somehow I'm going to be able to, or I'm going to have to find some way to get this script to you that we're going to run in a second. But anyway, go to Application Express if you're following along with me. And again, I encourage you guys to follow along with me and stop the tape or stop the video if you would, and follow these examples with me. So let me just go and log in. Hold on, let me get internet here. Pardon me, folks. an airplane mode. All right, let me do that again. Let me log back in. Sorry about that. There we go. Let me log in. And let me show you how you can get some test data. Now, what we've been doing so far is we've been working with some tables, but not with a lot of data in them. So what I did is I wrote a script here, and I'm going to have to find some way to either email you the script or you could get the script from me, but we'll figure that out. I'm going to go into SQL Workshop. And then from here, I'm going to go to SQL Scripts. And I wrote a script that we're going to use for some test data for today. And I named it SC Populate Auctions. So I'm going to click on Edit. And I'm going to leave you with a little bit of dead air so you can kind of look at the script a little bit. And I'm going to explain to you what it is. So I'm going to give you about maybe 15 seconds of dead air, and then we're going to describe what the script actually does. Okay, now it's a very simple script. Now what it does is it builds for us a table. Now I'm just going to kind of make it look a little bit pretty here. So basically we're creating a table called auctions. Now notice this table is a very simple table, and to keep things simpler, if that's a real word, notice I'm not using anything like a primary key. I'm not using any kind of foreign key constraints, and I'm doing nothing with check constraints. It's just a plain old table with just some columns in there. So we have the item column. This is going to be the item in an auction that was bought. We're going to have the date the auction, or pardon me, the date the item was bought. We're going to have how much we bought the item for. Then we're going to have how much we sold the item for, and how much, or pardon me, the date that we sold the item, and then how much we sold the item for. So it's a very simple table. It would be kind of like if you were keeping track of any kind of auctions, like if you were, buying and selling stuff like on eBay or any of the auction sites, and you were creating, some kind of web form or some kind of interface or some kind of application that would hold this data. What you bought, the date you bought it, how much you sold it for, how much you bought it for, when you sold it, and then the sell price. So we don't have a ton of data in here. We just have a few things. We have here the we sold a radio, and then notice the toDate function. Now, if you haven't seen the toDate function, don't panic. What toDate does is it takes something that's not necessarily the default Oracle date format and just makes it a date. So don't panic. This is just making a string into a date if it's not in the Oracle default date format. And then we have, again, a number. Again, this number here is, I believe, the buy price. And then we have a column here where we're putting in the date that we sold the item, and then we're putting in the sell price. A very simple table. We have, how many rows are we putting in here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just maybe a dozen or so. Not a whole bunch. Not a whole bunch. But this sure beats typing it in by hand. So this is what I did. And like I said, I'm going to have to find some way to get you the script via email or whatever. We'll figure it out. But anyway, when you get the script, just go into SQL Workshop and then go into Script Editor. And then from Script Editor, put in the script that I'm going to give you, or you're going to obtain from me. And then when you're finished, just run the script. Save it, of course. You could call it anything you like. I really don't care. It doesn't matter. It's your script. You can do with it whatever you want to do. So in this case, I'm going to click on Run. I'm going to run my script, and it should just run. it should, as we say in the business, it should just work. So I click on Run. And you should see, in your case, you won't see table dropped because in your instance, you probably don't have that table in your system. So you should see, table does not exist. But remember, that's just a warning message. That's fine. And then you should see table created, and then each of the rows that we're putting into the table. And it should see one row inserted all the way down. All right, so let's start working with aggregate functions. So I'm going to kind of go back and forth between like Notepad and SQL command line. So I can kind of, have these SQL statements, in sort of a, like a scratch pad or like a notepad. So I can kind of go back and forth and go over these examples. So if you're following along with me, now that we've got our test data, we're going to go into SQL command line and go over some of these aggregate functions. So I'm going to navigate to SQL commands, and that should be it. And then Oracle Apex is waiting for us to put my commands in. All right, so I'll give you guys a second to kind of catch up. And then if you're here, what you can do is, if you like, you can open up Notepad. And what I'll do is at the end of class tonight is I'll, just like normal, is I'll send you my notes, which is going to be kind of strange because you'll probably get the notes before you'll get the video for the class, which might be somewhat confusing, but I'm sure you'll figure it out. Okay, so anyway, let's go over the aggregate function. So I'm going to open up Notepad. And let's start with some warm-up exercises. And again, SQL is caseless, but I'm just going to kind of go back and forth. Like we could do, how about select star from, and the column is called auctions. Just a warm-up. You've seen this before. Remember the syntax for a select. You're going to have select, you're going to have star, from auctions. Now, star just means all columns. Now, remember in a select statement, after select is you have a list of columns separated by a comma, except for the last column, which does not have a comma in it. So in this case, we're just going to select everything from auctions. So I'm going to take this command, paste it in, and we'll get something like this, select star from auctions. We run our SQL statement. And we should get a result set. Just give me a second, so I want to make sure I got a good level going, and I do. So pardon me. You weren't supposed to see that. Okay, so we have the item, the date bought, the buy price, the date sold, the sell price. And we got, how many rows of data we have? About a dozen or so. And hold on, I'm getting weird system messages here. So just to make sure I'm still recording, it looks like I'm good. Pardon me. Again, I got a weird system message that popped up. All right, anyway, you might want to pause the video here. You may if you want to, and just look at the result set, and just look at what you're dealing with, and look at the data types. Like, for example, radio, which is variable character, I believe. You got the date bought, the buy price, the date sold, the sell price. And then if you scroll to the right, you got the... you have the amount that you sold it for. So you can look at this result set if you want. Like I said, I'll give you a second to pause the video if you're inclined to do so. And if it's too big or small, remember you can hit Control plus to make this larger, or Control minus to make it smaller. So I'm going to try to find a balance between them. All right, anyway. So that's a warm-up. Now let's talk about aggregate functions. So aggregate functions do the following. I'm going to put in this. I'm just going to go back and forth. Whoops. I'll say aggregate functions return one summed up value. What does that mean? Let me explain you something. And you're going to see ag functions or aggregate functions meaning the same thing. You'll often see me put ag for aggregate. An aggregate function will return one summed up value. Now, what does that mean in English? For example, let's go over a couple of them. Let's go over count. What count does is it'll return to us the number of rows returned. Count returns the number of rows returned. All right, what does that mean? Well, let me just save this here. Save, put in notes. N-O-T-S, notes. And again, I'll find somebody to get this to you if you want them. For example, let's just say that you don't necessarily want to see all of your results set. You don't care about looking at all your columns. You don't care about radios, date bought, date sold, sell price, buy price, anything. Your boss taps you on the shoulder and she says, how many records do we have in our auctions table? And that's where count will come in. So we could say for example, rather than select star, we can say select count. Return to us the number of rows. Again, it just returns one row. That will represent the number of rows that we have in our auctions table. So if I click on run, I'll get one row returned to me, and it returns 18. So we have 18 rows that are in our auctions table. It also will return, again, the amount of rows that qualify. Like, for example, I'm going to go back to select star. And how about this? The select star from auctions. So let's just say, again, our boss taps us on the shoulder and she says, how many items do we have in our auctions table that are radio for the items? How many radio items are in our auction table? We could do something like this. Select star from auctions where, item equal radio. Select star from auctions where item equal radio. So I click on run. And I could do this. I could count them. In this case, there's only 2. But let's just say there was a lot of them. You know, I could count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or what I could use is I could use the aggregate function count. So basically, in English or in common speak, this is saying, just tell me how many of them I have. I don't want to see the result set of them. I don't want to see anything else except how many of them I have. So then I click on run. And not surprisingly, this says I have 2 of them. Now, just as an aside, when we talk about aggregate functions, we're talking about these aggregate functions that we're using are ANSI aggregate functions, which means that they're supported by all, or should be supported by all database management systems. So this lecture, although we're using Oracle Apex as the tool, should work in any other language. If you're using Enterprise Manager for SQL Server or DB2 or any other database management system, these SQL statements should work just fine. Again, this is not proprietary Oracle stuff. This is just pretty much plain old ANSI aggregate functions. So that's count. We're going to kind of get a little more complex as we go because you're looking at this and you're yawning already. You're going, oh gosh, this is going to be so easy. And it kind of is. But we got to go over them at least once. So count gives us the number of records that qualify, again, from the where clause or the lack of a where clause. So let's go over a couple more. That was count. We also have, I'm putting count, that's a function. We also have max, like max headroom. Now, if you're under the age of 40 or maybe even 50, you probably don't even know who max headroom is. Google max headroom for an imaginary extra credit bonus point. This will return the largest entry of a column. Max will return the largest entry of a column. One thing I want to point out about using these aggregate functions is that there's not a lot of them. Half dozen, 8, 9, 10, 12. There's not a lot. There really isn't. Count, max. We're going to go over a couple more. So, for example, let's go over max. I'm going to save notes as I go. And let's go over the SQL statement again. Let's say we're doing the following. We'll do select star from auctions. Back to our main SQL statement, and we got, X amount of rows that are returned. Now, our boss taps us on the shoulder, and she says, write me a SQL statement. Remember, SQL statements are usually the source for reports too. So if you're writing reporting systems against the table, you probably are using SQL to do it. So you often hear me use the term report for a SQL select, and I kind of do that unconsciously because a select statement is usually the source of a report that you would actually write in any kind of dashboard, in any kind of reporting application. So your boss taps you on the shoulder and says, hey, Bob, you're stupid. Well, hopefully not. But your boss taps you on the shoulder and says, give me the largest buy price for anything we've ever bought. We could say something like this. We could say select max, and then we put in the name of the column, which is buy price. From auctions. So what this does is it says, again, we're not interested in looking at the result set for anything. We just want to see what the maximum buy price is for anything that we bought in auctions. So again, select max buy price from auctions. We run. And we get $500. Now notice we don't see anything else. We don't see like what we bought for $500, but don't worry about that for now. Right now what we're doing is we're just focusing on aggregate functions. Now on the flip side of that, we have min. Now min gives us the smallest entry of a column. Smallest entry of a column. Now min is really just the flip side of max. So if we wanted to see the minimum buy price, we could say select min, buy price from auctions. And we run. And the internet's a little slow tonight, but we're going to get our result coming back 4.56. So the minimum buy price we have for any item in our auctions is $4.56. Now again, notice that the aggregate functions only bring one value back, and they don't bring a result set back. It's like calling a function, and that the function returns one value. Again, now when I say calling a function, I'm talking about in math, not just necessarily in Oracle or in databases here, but if you have a math class which you develop a macro or a function, that function only returns one value, as it does here. So when we run this, in this case for the min function, for the aggregate function, we only get one value back. So minimum buy price from auctions, and we get just $4.56. So get a couple more. Again, I'm going to kind of go quickly through this because you're getting the recipe. And then we're going to start using them together. And also, let me kind of close this. Got some stuff don't need necessarily. And we have average. And this is the average entry of a column. The average entry of a column. And that goes without really saying. So if we want to see the average buy price, we can say AVG, buy price from auctions. And then click on Run. So our average buy price is $129.92. All right, that is fairly easy. Let's start working with these and putting them together. We have, again, we went over count, max, min, and average. What we can do now is we can start putting these together if we like. And we are here. So let's go over that example. Let me go over this and go over how this would work. Like if we want to see, like for example, how about this? We want to see the min buy price, the max buy price, and the average buy price. So I'll give you a little bit of dead air to kind of look at this, maybe type it in and get the example working or not. Okay, so at this point, we can run our application or run our SQL statement. And you're going to get the following return to you. Oh, pardon me, max. Should be min. You guys do that, though. I hear you guys screaming through my computer. It should be min. It should be min. And click on Run. So here we go. We got the min buy price, the max, and then the average. Fairly simple stuff. Now we can actually combine these as well. Like for example, if we want to look at, how about this? We want to look at how many auction records we have. And then we're going to look at the min buy price, the max buy price, and the average. So we could do something like this. We could say count. And it'll be count, should be like star. Which basically means how many records do we have? Give us the minimum buy price, the maximum buy price, and the average buy price. And then click on Run. Oh, pardon me, I need to have a comma after my count. Remember, when we have a select, it's a comma delimited list, except for the last one that doesn't have a comma at all. So at this point, I'll click on Run. And pardon me, I apologize for these things that pop up. It's kind of annoying. I try to turn it off and it winds up turning itself back on. So if you see one of these, just politely ignore it. Whoops. Okay, so let me run. So here I have 18 records in my auction table. I have a minimum buy price of $4.56 and a maximum of $500 and an average buy price of $129.92 0.0555556. And don't worry about rounding for now. Now, you're kind of getting it here. One thing I want to point out is notice when I'm working with aggregate functions, I'm not really, in this case, really concerned with what this is. I'm not concerned with looking at the items and each individual buy price, each individual sell price. I'm looking at summing up information. And that's what you see here. When we're working with aggregate functions, we're kind of assuming that we're working with the summary data like we are here. We're not interested, in our case, again, this is our data, we could do what we want to. We're really not interested in looking at each individual record. In this case, we're like, you know what, we don't need to see each individual transaction or each individual record. What we want to see is aggregations of them. Or in this case, how many do we have, what's the minimum, what's the maximum, and what's the average. So that's why it's important that I point out and you guys understand that when we work with aggregate functions, we're kind of assuming we're only bringing back a single value. We don't care how many, in this case, how many of them are radios, how many are CDs, or each individual record. We're interested in aggregations of those records or these records that are summed up. Now we can also use math in this too. We can use computed columns. Like for example, if we wanted to see, how about this? There's one more I want to show you. Let me show you sum. We have average, we have sum. Now sum is the, I'll do this in common terms. All values of a column added up. Summary, sums all of them. For example, let me go back to our example here that we're going over in Oracle Apex. Okay, how about this? We could say select, and we'll say sum of the buy price from auctions. So here I got select sum of the buy price from auctions. What this will do is it'll take all my buy prices and sum them up for me. And again, since it's an aggregate function, it's only going to bring me back one value in place. So give it a second. So the sum is $2,338.57. Now we can actually check that if we wanted to just by doing select all from auctions. So what sum is doing is it's just taking the buy price, all of these guys here, and just adding them up for me. It's summing them. It's a summation. It's a sigma. So anyway, do the following and pause the video and try this. Write me a SQL statement or write a SQL statement that shows me the sum of all my buy prices and the sum of all my sell prices and another column that shows me what my profit was. I'll say that again. Write me a SQL statement that has 3 columns. The sum of my buy prices, the sum of my sell prices, and another column that's going to show me my profit. Now pause the video and try the exercise. When you're finished with the exercise, resume the video and compare your answer to my solution. Hello, welcome back. Hopefully you paused the video and you tried that exercise on yourself, by yourself. Now, what I asked of you is I wanted you to write a SQL statement. I wanted you to write a SQL statement that has the sum of all my buy prices, the sum of all my sell prices, and then a column that shows me what my profit was, assuming that I made a profit. So let's get started. This is the answer I came up with. We can say select sum of the buy price and we could say and then also the sum of the sell price. I'll give you guys a second to get that typed in, and then we're going to run this and kind of solve it one column at a time. Okay, so let me run this SQL statement. And I get something that looks like this. Ooh. So some of my sell prices are $2,371.18. The sum of my buy price is $2,038.57. Not necessarily a really good profit margin, right? Let me show you something else here, and we're getting off at a little bit of a tangent. Let's alias these columns. You see how our columns are exactly the name of our columns here? We can alias them by putting in as, and we could put in, how about total? Buy price. And here we can say as total sell price. All right, let's try that. Again, this just aliases our columns, just so our columns look a little bit more pretty. It doesn't change the functionality at all. So we get something like that. See, all we did is we changed our headings to be something more useful. All right, now I'm going to try something here. I'm going to try, how about this? I will say sum. I'm going to put in sell price minus the sum of the buy price and I'll put in as profit. Now, when you run this, you may get something a little unexpected. First of all, I need to put a comma here. Remember, we need commas after each column. So let me add that. And there we go. So here's the solution. We have the total buy price, the total sell price, and then what your profit margin was. We made $32.61. It seems to be an awful lot of work to do to make $32.61, but that's what we did. So anyway, like I said before, when you're working with aggregate functions, you're really looking at just different aggregate values for your data. Notice I'm not looking at my data itself. I'm just kind of doing totals on it. And that's what aggregate functions are for. So you don't necessarily, like I'm saying here, we're not necessarily saying, show me all of my items, show me all of my records or all my result sets where we sold radios, or show me all my result sets where we sold CDs, show me all my result sets where we sold stereos. We don't care about that. When we're using aggregate functions, we're basically saying, show me total information. How many records do we have? What was the total buy price for everything? What was the total sell price for everything? What was our profit margin? Now, let me show you a couple more things that we could do with this. This is all I want to show you as far as aggregate functions go. Pardon me. This is all I want to show you as far as aggregate functions go. There's other ones as well, and I'm going to show you one more. We got count, we have max, we have min, we have average, we have sum. We also have one called standard deviation. I'm not going to show that to you. I will say this. I will say, how about this? I want you to do this on your own. Look up floor look up ceiling. Is that spelled right? I think so. And look up standard deviation. Pardon me. It looks like that's a function. Pardon me, I'm stuttering here. When I mean look up, I mean you look up, not that it's a function. I'll put in you, the student, look up the following functions. Put in following SQL functions. Look up floor, ceiling, and standard deviation. Spend 10 minutes on this. Don't spend any longer on this. Just these are ones that I'm not demoing. There's some other ones as well. We demoed count. I demoed max. I demoed min. I demoed average. I demoed sum. So there you go. Let me show you one that's not necessarily an aggregate. I'm just going to put in other functions. Put other functions, and I'll put in like egg functions. They're not really egg functions, but they're like egg functions. All right, let me show you distinct. Distinct. I-N-C-T. There we go. You can tell I can't spell anything. Remember, I'm a math computer science major. I can't spell. I can only abbreviate and give you formulas. That's it. Not only can I can't spell, I can't read at all. I'm married to someone that's completely into literature, that corrects my grammar and has read every book in the world, and I have this no clue, no idea. Absolutely no idea. All right, let me show you distinct. Now, what distinct does is distinct will show me each distinct value for something, or each what's called an atomic value. An atomic value is, think about your chemistry in high school, like when an atom is your lowest, at least in theory, is your smallest possible thing of matter. Now we know that's really not true if you're into physics. I mean, there's quarks and a bunch of other stuff, but we still use the term atomic. Atomic means is we can't get any lower than that. It's as low as we could go. Now, when we use distinct, we're using atomic values, which means show me only one of a value if it exists, and if it doesn't exist, don't show it to me at all. Now, what does that mean in English? Well, let me show you. Let me go into our data here, and I'm just going to leave this up on the screen for a little bit if you need to take a screenshot. Okay, so let's go back and just look at everything again. So we'll do a select star from auctions and then run. And I'll leave you a couple minutes or a couple seconds of dead air as you're looking at this. All right, anyway, distinct will show me atomic values for a specific column. For example, notice our item column here, and we're looking at everything in our auctions table. We got radio, we got CD, we got radio, DVD, computer, laptop, zip disk. Remember them? Gosh. And whatever. So, our boss taps us on the shoulder and says, give me a list of items that we auction. Now, obviously, you can't look at this and look at them and say, well, we got a radio, we got a CD, we got all this other stuff. But what you can do is you can use the distinct function. Now, distinct is kind of a quasi-aggregate function, but don't worry about the definition. Just worry about what distinct does. You don't got to categorize it. Is it an aggregate function? Is it not? It doesn't really matter. But we can do something like this. Select distinct. And we'll do select distinct item from auctions. Now, what this will do, as you will soon see, is it'll give me all my distinct values. So basically, it's like this. If this item is in here once, it'll show it once. If it's in here twice, it'll show it once. If it's in here n amount of times, it'll show us once. It'll show us our atomic value, which means it'll only show it to us one time. This is a a good one to illustrate, like if we're going into like a very large table that might have, state for a column, ILINOHCA, da 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 da, and we have a million records in there. Our boss might say, show me all the states in which we have, I don't know, customers or whatever. You would use distinct. It would be like select distinct state from something. So if it's there once, you'll see it once. If it's there a million times, you'll see it once. You only want to know if it's there or if it's not there. So we can say that we have DVDs, zip disks, laser printers, laptops, speakers, CDs, telephones, radios, stereos, and computers. So these are the distinct values that we have for the item function. Distinct. Select distinct. Now, is distinct an aggregate function? Probably not, but it's still, because it doesn't bring back one value, but don't categorize it. Don't go down the rabbit hole if it's an aggregate function or not, because it really doesn't matter. All right, so other functions like aggregate functions. Let me show you a couple other ones as well. We can use, how about this? This isn't a function, but hold on. Let me show you absolute. Now, the ABS function is absolute value. Now, your absolute value shows you the distance between two numbers. Not necessarily which one's higher or which one's lower, but the distance between them. Like, for example, let's just say that, how about this? That we sell something. We sell something for, hold on, let me get this better here. We buy and we sell stuff. So if we sell something for $2.34 and we bought it for $2.12, and we sell something for $3.54 and we buy it for $3.00. And how about this? We sell something for $5.67 and we buy it for, how about this? We buy it for $6. And I asked you this question. I could ask you two questions. I can say, write me a SQL that shows me my sell price and my buy price and my profit or loss. And it would be fairly easy to do. You could say, well, let's do it. We're going to write a SQL that's going to say, give me my buy price. I got them transversed. My sell price and my buy price, and if I made a profit or a loss on this. That's easy. We're backing into absolute. We're not using it yet, but I'm showing you a use case for it. So let's go into our data and we'll say, how about this? We'll say select. How about this? We'll do star from auctions. Star from auctions. There we go. Click on run. Okay, how about this? We're going to say select item, comma. We're going to say the buy price, comma, sell price, comma, and we'll say, how about this? The sell price minus the buy price. We're getting out of aggregate functions here for a second. You might look at this and say there's no aggregate function in here, and you're right. And we'll put in as profit. All right. So pause the video if you like. Get your arms around that. Go have a smoke. Go outside and get a cup of coffee. Go listen to some music. Go drink something cold. And start the video again once you're ready. All right, folks, let's run this. So again, we're going to show the item, what we bought it for, what we sold it for, and what our profit margin was. Again, not using any aggregation yet. So I got this. I got radio, buy, sell, and what the profit is. So we made, on this guy, we made a $21.56 profit. This one we lost $3.22. And, you know, all the ones that looks like we made a profit, computer, we lost $3.45 and lost $100 on our laptops and $10 on our zip disks. Okay, anyway, big deal. So we know how to do that. But let me show you the absolute function. Let's just say I asked you to kind of give me a variation of this. And I say, I'm not interested in necessarily the the profit. I'm interested in the difference between them. Like I'm interested in the volatility or the difference between the sell price and the buy price. So I can't subtract one from the other. Again, volatility means the distance between them. So if I want to look at the distance between $2.12 and $2.34, $3 and $3.54, $6 and $5.67, I can't subtract one from the next because I don't know which one's higher and which one's lower. So I can't subtract one from the next. Again, this is called volatility, or the distance between them. What is the distance between these two numbers? When we're looking at the distance between two numbers, we're looking at what's called their absolute value. Now, your absolute value can never be negative. It's always a positive number. Again, it's a mathematical law. Your absolute value always has to be positive. Why is it? Because remember, your absolute value is looking at the distance between two real numbers, not adding them or subtracting them. We're not interested in which one's bigger or which one's least. We're looking at the distance between them. Another good example of absolute value is if we're comparing temperatures. You know, high value, low value, the high temperature, low temperature. I suppose the high temperature would be higher than the low temperature, so it's probably not the best example. But absolute value will give us the difference between these guys. So let's change the SQL, and let's change the question. Let's change the question is, show me the difference between the buy price and the sell price. So we would do something like this. How about we do the buy price, the sell price, and we do ABS, volatility, absolute value of the sell price minus the buy price. See, this way, absolute value will always flip the sign. So it doesn't matter which one's higher or which one's lower, because absolute value will take a negative and make it positive. And you'll see that in a second. So let's run the SQL. And I shouldn't say profit. Let me change this. I'll put in difference. Nope, don't want to save it. Let me run the SQL. So notice now, the absolute value just gives me the difference. Why would I want this? Let's just say I'm not interested if I made a profit or loss. I'm interested in the difference between what we bought something for and what we sold something for. How about that? I'm looking for like standard deviations of what we bought something and what we sold something. I'm not interested in what is greater, if we made a profit or a loss. I'm interested in what the difference is. What is the difference between the buy price and the sell price? And it can't be negative. Absolute value gives us the volatility. All right, now let's go over some miscellaneous stuff here. Let's just say I wanted to look and see, how about all items that sold for less than they were bought? We can say something like this. We can say item, and we can say, again, all items that sold for less than they bought. It would be, how about buy price, sell price, and I'll say from auctions. And I'm doing miscellaneous stuff here. We're kind of getting out of aggregate functions and kind of going over just some exercises here. So how about this? Select item, buy price, and sell price from auctions where, stick with all capitals, where, and we'll say the that's sold, where sell price is less than buy price. Again, this is going to list all items that sold for less than they were bought. No aggregate functions needed here. Very simple. And I got, oh, see, I got a comma where I don't need one. So let me fix that. And then do a run. And it looks like we have two. We have CD, computer, laptop. A couple of laptops. There we go. All right. Now, what if I wanted to list the profit or the loss? Now, we kind of did this one. But as a review, if I wanted to list the profit or the loss, it would be item, buy price, and sell price. And I will put in, how about this? The sell price minus the buy price. This will give us the profit or loss for each specific auction. And there we go. So we got the item, we got the buy price, the sell price, and again, the sell price minus the buy price. Again, this would be a profit, this would be a loss. Now let me show you some stuff that you could do with some of these numbers. Again, we're kind of channel surfing here. That's fine. We're out of aggregate functions as far as insofar as I wanted to show you. So let's do the following. How about we let's do some rounding here. Let's just say we only want to see the we want to round this up or down. We don't want to see the pennies. We just want to round it up and down. We can use the round function. Now, round functions I want you guys to look up if you want. But basically what we can do here is we're rounding the buy price, and 0 means we're not using any decimals. We can do this if we want to round to 2 decimals, but we're already doing that. If I want to round to 0 decimals, which is the total dollar, it would be something like this. Round buy price, and we can also round the sell price. Whoops, I already have it here. And we can also do a round, I think this will work, the sell price minus the buy price, again to 0. So what this will do is it'll effectively just give me all of my result set without the decimals, rounding them. And, oh, I need a comma here. See, I missed it. Let me put in my comma and then do a run. There we go. Now, if I wanted to look at, for example, how about I want to look at my average buy and sell price for radios? My average buy and sell price for radios. Let's get rid of round. And we could use the average function. Let's use the aggregate functions here. So we could say, rather than round, what we can do is we can use the average function. So we'll do AVG. AVG. The average buy price and the average sell price. So select item, average buy price. You know, I don't even need to see item. How about this? I just want to see the average buy price and the average sell price. this should do it for us. Again, just kind of going over a potpourri of some different examples here. Some using aggregate functions, some not. And there we go. Now, how would you do this? Pause the video, and what I want you to do is I want you to round this result set to 2 digits. I want you to round it to 2 digits. So rather than all these values after the decimal, I want you to round to 2. So stop the video and come up with your solution. After you come up with your solution, restart the video and compare your solution to what I came up with. Hello and welcome back. Hopefully you came up with your solution, you paused the video, and you gave this a shot. So let's compare what you came up with to my solution. Now this is very easy. What I want to do is I want to round this, or the ask was just to round this to 2 digits. Now we could do this pretty easily just by using the round function. So we could take everything that we have here and pass it into round. Let's round to 2 digits. And the same here. Let's round the 2 digits. And this should do it for us. So let me try to see if this works. I click on run, and there we go. So there we go. We have the results where we got the round, buy price, and the sell price. So we have here the results where we got $129.92 and $131.73. So what we did here is we combined an aggregate function with, in this case, round is not really an aggregate function. Again, it's another type of function. It's actually a function that we could put on numeric columns. Now, if I wanted to change this, and how about I just wanted to list the types of items that we have in our auctions. Again, I want to list just the types of items. I can say select distinct item. So we have select distinct item from auctions. You run this application, and it'll show me all the different types of items that I have. And give it a second. It's a little bit slow right now. There we go. And it shows me all of my items. Now let's make this more complicated. Let's just say I want to see the number of items I have in my auctions. I can say select count item. So you saw distinct and you saw count, or you'll see count right now. So this says I have 18 records in here. What if I wanted to see the number of distinct albums in our auctions? Or how many of them? We have 18. Let me slow down here. We have 18 records in our auctions table. We have 18 items. How many of them are distinct? Well, we know 10 of them are because we ran it and we said select distinct item from auctions. And if we counted them, we'd get 10 of them. But if we wanted to combine them, we can. And this is how you would do that. Again, what I'm going to show you here is how do we list the number of distinct items in our auctions. The number of distinct items. So basically, it's taking count and distinct and putting it together. How about this? Select count, distinct, item. So what this is saying is, give me all my distinct items, and it'll list them. You know, CD player, computer, pencil, printer, speaker, anything that's in there. And then it says, now count them for me. So in this illustration here, what I'm showing you is how you can combine aggregate functions with other functions to get, in this case, if we want to look at the types of items that we have, the number of distinct items that we have in our auctions. Now, if we wanted to look at, how about this? Let's look at volatility again. Let's look at volatility. If I wanted to look at the difference between the buy and the sell prices of all of our items, I can say something like this. If I want to look at the difference between the buy price and the sell price, how about we do select item, buy price, comma, sell price, comma, and we'll do the absolute value of the sell price minus the buy price. Now again, the ask here is show me the item, the buy price and the sell price, and the volatility or the difference between the buy price and the sell price. Now remember, the difference is always positive. If you look at the difference between two numbers, you're always going to get a positive number. Remember, we don't necessarily care here which one's more, the sell price or the buy price. We just want to look at the difference between them. And we get something like this. So you notice that the sell price is usually higher, but not always. Like here for the CD, we bought it for $23.22 and we sold it for $20. So we made a loss on it, but the volatility is the difference between the buy price and the sell price is $3.22. Now again, use absolute value or ABS if you're not interested in a positive or a negative number, but you're interested in the difference, the range or the difference between two numbers. Now if you want to look at the average volatility, like for example, I look at this and say, what's the average difference between my buy price and my sell price? What you can do is you can do the following. If I want to look at the average difference between my buy price and sell price, I can say select average, select average, absolute value, sell price minus buy price from auctions. And let me make sure that works. And then I'll take a pause and you could take a look at it. So basically it's saying the average volatility between the buy prices and the sell prices is $24.775. Now I'll pause this for a second. You could take a look at it. Notice how I'm embedding different functions here. I'm embedding an absolute value function, which again is actually it's an aggregate function, right? And then average. And notice when we're dealing with aggregate functions again, we're not really dealing with with returning a result set. We're not interested in how many items we have or each record. We're interested in summations of stuff. Usually just a value. Like here, your boss taps you on the shoulder and says, go look at our auctions and what's our average difference between the sell price and the buy price. Profit or loss, it doesn't matter. What we're saying here is there's an average difference of $24.775. Let me show you a couple more things with this. There is another function called greatest and least. Let's just say, for example, I'm going to put in here. I'm going to put in greatest is a function and least is a function. Now again, kind of aggregate functions, but not really. If I want to look at the greatest between two values, what I'll do is I'll use a greatest function. If I want to look at the least between two values, I'll look at the least function. Now what does that mean in English? It just means like here, I don't know which one's higher, the buy price or the sell price. I don't know. One could be higher than the next. Hopefully we're selling for higher than we're buying, but we could be buying for higher than we're selling. So if I wanted to look at which one was higher or lower, I would use the greatest and the least functions. How about this? I can say select. How about this? We're going to say select item, comma, sell price, comma, buy price from auctions. And how about this? If I wanted to look at the greatest of these guys for some reason, I could say, show me the greatest of the sell price. And this is a list. We give it a comma delimited list. The greatest of the sell price and the buy price. Select item, sell price, buy price, greatest sell price versus buy price. So when I run this, so you got the sell price of 45, the buy price of 23.44, and this just shows us which one's the greatest. It doesn't show us the column, it just shows us the value. So 45 is greater than 23, 22 is greater than 20, 8 is greater than 456. Where would you use this? Let's just say you're writing an equation that you wanted to take your highest minus your lowest, but you don't know which column is your highest or which one's your lowest. You would use greatest or least. And the converse of greatest, again, is least. I can say L-E-A-S-T. The least between the sell price and the buy price. And again, this is just the converse. It just shows us the lower of these two columns. Now, if I wanted to look at, for example, how about this? Let's look at the item that had the greatest selling price. The item that had the greatest selling price. Very simple. You could just do this. Again, the ask is just show me the item that had the greatest selling price. We could do something like this. Now, this is kind of a little bit advanced. Let's just say I wanted to do this. I wanted to say the item, the sell price, and the buy price. And how about this? And I will say, this is kind of advanced, where I want to see this data, but I want to put an aggregate function and a where clause, and I can. Again, the ask is, show me the item that had the largest selling price. We could say from auctions, and we could say where, and we could say sell price, we're going to try a couple things. Equals max sell price. We want to do something like this. Remember, max sell price will return to us the largest sell price. So what we're doing here is we're saying show us the item, the sell price and the buy price, where the sell price is the largest. So when we run this, we might get some mixed results here. If we have, like in this case, we got this error message, which is expected. We can use aggregate functions in a where clause if it's part of a subselect. So we could say, for example, select max sell price from auctions. Now, in this case, this subselect here will get executed first. So what it's going to do is it's going to return to us the largest sell price, and it's going to look for the record that has that largest sell price. And we're almost there. Hold on. Oh, pardon me. I got my parentheses in the wrong spot. It should be this. Select. There we go. And I'll leave this up on the overhead for a second. So this is a little advanced, but I'm showing you how you can use an aggregate function as part of a subselect. Now in this case, like I said, it's going to give us the item, the sell price, and the buy price, where the sell price is the highest sell price. And let's see, let's just go over. go over a couple more. How about, let's look at the profit. How about this? We have, and again, this is part of leaving an aggregate function in a subselect. We have the item, the sell price, and the buy price. How about this? Let's show the item that had the largest profit. We could say something like this. We could say where, and how about this? We can say, again, the ask is, show us the item that had the largest profit. We could put this in a where clause. We could say select, and we'll put in let's go back a little bit. Let's take this step by step. Again, we have item, sell price, and buy price. And we'll put in, how about this? We'll put in sell price minus buy price as profit. All right, let's do this step by step. Start with this. Select item, sell price, buy price, where sell price minus buy price is profit. So this is going to list us basically this stuff here. It's going to list us our sell price and our buy price and our profit. So what we want is we want to show just which item sold for the largest profit. Now again, we can sort this if we want, but basically let's write a SQL statement that'll do this for us. So we're basically looking for this guy here, radio for 21 point whatever. We could do the following. We could do this. We could say, how about this? From auctions, and we could say where sell price minus buy price, and we could bracket this. Again, this is not simple, just so you know, is equal to select max sell price minus buy price. And we're almost there. And let's see, select item, sell price as profit from auctions, where sell price minus buy price equals, let's see. Let me get rid of this. Let me get rid of this. And if you want to do some intermediate stuff, remember the, how about this? Before we do this where clause, we'll do this where clause in a second. Let's take this step by step. Basically, we want to look at for the what profit is 2156, right? So let's do it step by step. We can say where sell price minus buy price is equal 21.56. Now this will run, right? And it'll give me, again, the items that have the largest profit. But we want to get this hard coding out of here. So you can leave it for this for now, and this will actually give us our answer. Or what you can do is you could put this in a subselect. And like, for example, we could say select, you know what, let's put this in Notepad. And was it 2156? Let me put in 2156. And you can also do a subselect to get that 2156. Like you can say select, and we'll put in max. Hold on, we'll do select. Max. Sell price minus buy price from auctions. This one's not easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it, right? Pardon me. All right, so let's do this incrementally. We know this SQL works. So let's put it in a sub-select, and this should return to us 2156. And we get, oh, wait a second, this looks a little bit strange. All right, let's take this sub-select and put it aside. And let's look to see, just manually, let's look to see what the biggest profit is. I think we might have missed it. Let's see. I think I got that reversed. The sell price minus the buy price is profit. Let's see. That looks good. Let me look at my SQL. See, I'm getting 100 for that, and I probably shouldn't. So let's see what the deal is. Select sell price minus buy price. Again, we're kind of going through this together. Let's see what we get for our return value. So I get negative 100, so I got losses. So if I do select the max from this, I should get the largest number of that equation. Again, the maximum, the sell minus the buy. And I get 135, which doesn't make any sense. There's probably one I'm not seeing in here. I'm sure that's what, oh, you know what it is? I'm sure that's what it is. Hold on. I'm sure that's what it is. Yeah, more than 10 available. Increase row selector. Yeah, so I just don't see it in here, so we're good. So our biggest profit is the following. We were right all along. We just didn't see it. So our maximum profit is $135. Now what we can do now is we can take this sub-select and paste it into our main select statement. So therefore, we would look something like this, where sell price minus buy price is equal to select max sell price minus buy price from auctions. And we're still getting a missing expression here. Let's see. Let's try this and this. And we're still not getting something quite right here. Let me take a look at this. Let's try just hard coding this value. equals 100. Okay, that no data found. So what about this? Let's try this select max sell price minus buy price. And we get 135. All right, so let's see. Let's look at our... Oh, pardon me. There are our sub-select, I'm getting a little punchy here, needs to be in a brace. There we go. Or a open and close paren. Remember, sub-selects have to be in an open and closed paren. All right, this should solve our problems. And there we go. A laser printer, sell price, $600.35. Buy price, there's our profit. I'll leave this up on the overhead so you can take a screenshot of it. Again, this was what item had the largest profit. Now I could change this to say, how about what items sold for an above average profit? What items sold for an above average profit? I still would leave my select, and this is my profit, and I would say select, and how about this? How about this? AVG, sell price, pardon me, sell price minus buy price, and we'll say where the sell price minus the buy price is greater than. So this will show me all of my items that sold for an above average profit. Again, this remains the same. This is my profit, and this shows me what my average profit was, and this is going to return to me all of my records that sold for an above average profit. So let me select run, and there we go. All of my items that sold for an above average profit. Well, I'm going to wrap it up. This has been a long class. So hopefully you learned something about aggregate functions and how aggregate functions work with SQL statements. We worked with a handful of aggregate functions and also worked with some miscellaneous functions that are kind of aggregate, such as distinct, absolute value. We did greatest and least. And just for fun, we threw in some other ones, such as round. So hopefully you learned something. Thank you for sticking with me. And thank you for watching. And all of you, please enjoy the rest of your day.